We have here an '06 Jetta TDI. It's a 1.9 liter BRM engine, and the customer had an emissions workshop light on the dash, and they took it to the dealership, and the dealership said the turbo was not building boost, and they recommended a new turbo for a massive amount of money. And so he's looking for a second opinion, and so he brought it to me. I haven't drove the car, but the check engine light was on as I drove it in. Let's scan it and see where we're going to start on the diagnosis. Okay, I got a really big mouse pointer on this now because you can see it better in the video, and when I'm driving the car I can see it while I'm moving down the road. P0299, control range not reached. So it's got a low boost code. I don't usually do a good job of looking at this stuff right here. This is the freeze frame data, but see, it doesn't show us boost, so it doesn't help much in these circumstances. If it was a lean code on a gasser, maybe it'd help. I have a few other videos on P0299, some of them on gassers, but the one on TDIs was a very unusual failure. There was no failure. Somebody had drilled a hole in the valve cover. Hopefully we'll get an interesting fix on this one for the video's sake. Here's the graph that we took as we test drove this car. The green is requested boost, and it comes up to about this level, but actual boost comes up very, very slow. It is building boost. It just takes half, 1, 2, 3, 3.5 gradicules, and it still hasn't even reached desired. So obviously there's a boost control problem here. We'll continue the diagnosis by taking some vacuum checks. Trying to make sure you can hear that. Let's get underneath the car here real quick. Okay, you can see outside from underneath the car. You hear that rattling? That's the dual mass flywheel rattling. Oh, I forgot to say I have another video with a damaged DSG from a broken flywheel, and you can watch that video by clicking the link up here. Just doing a quick visual inspection. If you're watching any of my other videos on TDIs, you know we do some vacuum checks on the boost control system, including an output test on VAGCOM, and we'll start with doing that. Okay, here on the turbo actuator, we want to remove that vacuum line. And into that vacuum line, we're going to hook our vacuum pump, just simply using it as a vacuum gauge right now. And then we'll run the output test. Of course, the car has to be running to do an output test relating to vacuum, because the vacuum pump is driven off the camshaft. And we have to scroll through till we get to solenoid for boost pressure control, and then the button changes to activate instead of next. See there, the computer controlled it to maximum vacuum, and then it dropped. Then the computer vents the vacuum, brings it back up to maximum vacuum. Those little stutters are weird there. So obviously the computer is capable of controlling vacuum. The solenoid isn't stuck. The vacuum supply is good, or else vacuum wouldn't come up that high. So let's hook the vacuum pump to our actuator and see if our actuator is capable of moving the turbo vanes. As you can see, the actuator, the diaphragm is ruptured and it will not seal vacuum. Okay, so here's a known good turbo that I had laying around, and I'm going to check the vacuum actuator on it so we can compare it to what we have in our car. And you can see there it holds and seals vacuum. And if I were to focus down on the actuator itself, you can see that when I pump it up, the actuator moves the lever. When I release it, it goes back. So the vanes aren't stuck and the actuator holds vacuum. We have received our replacement actuator on this, and Cortland is in the process of attempting to change this with leaving the turbo in the car. And I have given him my input, but I want him to explain it in his own words.
Alright, so we're attempting to do this in the car, as you said, and I was able to get the first bolt loose, but it was very stiff, and the second one very difficult to get to. But I am worried that one's going to be stiff as well. And while I think it is possible to still do this in the car, at this point I think it'd just be quicker just to pull the turbo so that we can apply heat to those bolts and get it out easy without worrying about anything breaking.
Okay, so how much time have you spent on this already this morning?
Hour and a half.
Okay. And so how long do you think it'll take, what would it take to pull the turbo if you were like purposely pulling the turbo and not wasting time trying to get the actuator off?
Probably around the same time.
Okay. So I agree with you. I think it could be done, but as we just continue to waste time attempting to do it, and if that bolt breaks off, that turbo's coming out. There ain't no way to heat that and extract it in the car, and I don't want that bolt to break off. I want to get that turbo off, apply heat, and get it off. So unfortunately, we are going to have to pull this turbo. That will give us a little bit better opportunity to inspect it to make sure this is a valid repair, make sure this turbo is a good candidate for repair. So I think we're going to follow Cortland's recommendations and just go ahead and let him pull the turbo. He's been wanting to pull the turbo all morning, but I've been insisting that he keep trying to change it. And so we're going to pull that turbo and get this thing done and out of here for the customer. Okay, Cortland has this turbo off. Have you wiggled the impeller?
I have not yet.
Can you stick your fingers in there and check that impeller, make sure this is a good candidate for repair? Any excessive movement there?
Not at all. It's nice and tight.
Spinning? Any visual damage that you can see?
Not at all. It's very nice.
Let me see if I can get the camera in there a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at the other side. What about the veins sticking? Any of the veins sticking?
No, because otherwise the lever wouldn't be moving easily.
There's the torch, the mechanic's friend, the blue wrench. Obviously we'll get this on. Hopefully this customer will be back on the road today. Cortland brought me over to show me the actuator installed on the turbo. And I assume you left this nut in place on the original one in order to gauge the adjustment, and so the adjustment on this one is the same as that one?
Yep.
And what was going on with the bolts?
This bottom one was pretty easy to get back in, but this top one was extremely difficult. I can imagine what kind of nightmare it would have been trying to do that in a car. So I think pulling the turbo was a good idea.
Okay, so we're basically coming to the conclusion that this is not doable in the car. At least it isn't practical to do it in the car for sure. Probably not possible to do it in the car. But Turbo R&R isn't miserable on this unless you waste an hour and a half trying to replace the actuator before you start pulling the turbo. So, and I've just got back from the road test on this 06 Jetta, and I took a couple graphs of boost control, and you can see here boost overshoots for just a brief moment and it comes under perfect control here, and it comes up to full boost within gosh, I'd have to say 1.5, maybe 1.25 graticules there. So that's pretty good boost control. I have another graph. Let me pull it up real quick. Here's our other graph for boost control. Of course, you need to refer to our other videos on graphing boost if you really want to understand this, because I'm not going to explain it in every video. But boost comes up really fast. It overshoots a little bit, comes under control. This is the 1-2 shift here. Maybe the 2-3 shift, I don't remember exactly. Obviously it's able to control boost the whole time, and actual follows desired very closely. Obviously it ain't going to do that during the shift, but that's real good boost control. Obviously this is one way to fix a trouble code P0299 for an 06 Jetta TDI. There are many other problems that these can have. This one was an excellent candidate for repair because the turbo wasn't worn at all. This car does have 188,000 miles, so it, in your situation it might be better for you to replace the turbo, but at least our shop offers this type of repair and doesn't put everybody in a new turbo. This customer is going to sell this car because the dual mass flywheel is rattling also, and so he really doesn't want to invest that much money into a new turbo and when the dual mass flywheel is rattling also, because that would be too expensive repairs. This repair is much more reasonable than replacing the turbo, and I think it was a good option for this customer in this circumstance. If you enjoyed this video, be sure and click the like button, and visit my website at www.kansascitytdi.com. And if you want to watch another cool video, there's one right there. Check out this video also, and don't forget to click the subscribe button